Hello, it's Rob and Karen back for middle school Sunday school today. It's Saturday actually.
Morning.
It's Saturday morning at 11:15, and boy, I tell you, I'm a little down. I'm just
Yeah.
a little tired of being not normal. I want
Yeah.
everything to get back to normal. People talk about a new normal and stuff like that,
Yeah.
and I'm having trouble getting into my new normal mode at least today, but I did do something. My friend Roy last week told me. We were having a conversation in a cafe after church last week, and he said we were all talking about what we're doing and everything, and he said he's pausing more. And I was like, that's such a great idea. I need to start to think about that more and more, about this idea of pausing. And it led me to think a little bit about with like videos and stuff, and hitting the
Yeah.
pause button and so this week, during my week, and this helped me a little bit, I hit the pause button a few times. I just took 3 short breaths, or 3 deep
good
breaths,
idea.
actually, and I could do that any time during my day, over and over again, and take. And I was like, wow. I feel a lot better. I hit the pause button for just a second. Wasn't even a minute. It was what, 15, 20 seconds,
right.
Then I hit the pause button, and I was like, this is great. This is great. And I went down the analogy a little bit more, and maybe we'll talk about it some other times. But, sometimes we need to rewind and do over things. Sometimes we need to start from the beginning.
Right.
Right. Sometimes we just need to resume after we've taken a pause, a break, or time away from things. Get back to something. Yeah. Sometimes we need to skip ahead, fast forward. That's the hardest one to do.
That's the one that's most. I think that's what's hard is right now. I want to fast forward to when we can be together again.
Right.
I love that I can connect with people on whether it's on video, something we record like this, or like a Zoom session where we see each other live. But there's a part of me that just can't wait till we see each other in person.
Yeah.
But that's going to be a little while yet. So I got to find ways, like you said, to pause and say, okay, someday that'll be great. But what can I enjoy about right now? And what I can enjoy about right now is that even though this isn't in person, it still keeps me connected to everybody. It still helps me to kind of keep going so I don't feel like I've just stalled. And the tape is broken instead of just paused.
Just pause, stop buttons, So this week I took a couple of days off of my work, Thursday and Friday, and Thursday was a beautiful sunny day.
Yep.
And I was able to get outside and spend my time in the garden, doing some gardening and things like that.
I'm looking forward to that today. It's beautiful.
It was good. Today's another beautiful day, so we're going to just make this nice and short, and we are going to check in with people on a Zoom session today too. Each Saturday at noon we'll have a Zoom session. If you need the link, you can contact me at robmannix@gmail.com, and I'll give you the link that will allow you to contact us and get into the Zoom, like a Zoom session. A video conference session that we can all talk and just give a check-in and things like that. It's been nice. Last week was our first time doing it. This week we're going to keep doing it, even if people didn't have a chance to get in this week. We'll keep it going. That way it will be scheduled every time, and then we'll get people as we can,
Sure.
I do want to do a little bit of stuff in the Bible today, even though I just wanted to make it a check-in and things like that. We're going to skip ahead a couple of stories, just because not where the Spirit's leading me today.
Okay.
I want to get to this other story, and we haven't done a lot of prep. Karen
Right.
and I haven't prepared a lesson or anything like that. We're just going to read it and we're just going to like experience it together. In fact, could you hand me the dwelling in the Word? I think it's over there under your coffee cup. And I just want to talk about that too, because that's one of the things. All 3 sheets there. This is a dwelling in the Word. It came in the email from Temple Lutheran Church. Thank you, Janet, for getting this out to everyone. And it talks about how to read the Bible, a different way to read the Bible that's a prayerful way to read the Bible. And we'll at least talk about it a little bit today, even if we don't do the full thing. It might take a little bit of time. But it talks about reading it and then meditating on it and then like opening up your heart, sort of like feeling it. Is it like feeling? You know, sometimes I talk about the heart as feeling, but also your gut. You know, just feel it in your gut and just really experience it. And sometimes you're pouring in things, you are, but also being open to God pouring things into you. And then the fourth one is to contemplate, maybe just to think more up here in your head and think more about it. So you've read it, so that's sort of like your eyes, and you've meditated on it. You're just quiet and letting God talk to you, or just thinking about it. You know, just processing it. Sort of a mental thing rather than a feeling thing. And then you're opening up. You're like feeling it. You're emoting it, and then coming back again to opening your mind up. Now you've put into it what you've thought. Now open up your mind to let God come into it. So with those in mind, let's read the story and I'll read a little bit and then I'll turn it to you. Okay.
Okay.
Jesus walks on water. So they just were feeding 5,000 people. That's what just happened. Immediately, Mark uses that word a lot.
He does.
Immediately, he made his disciples get into the boat and go on ahead to the other side. So he sent them ahead to Bethsaida while he dismissed the crowd. So Jesus stayed behind, sent the disciples, stayed behind, said, okay, everybody,
Go back home.
Thanks for being here. Go back home, everything. After saying farewell to them, he went up to the mountain to pray. I just want to pause there again. So we're thinking about this prayerfully and stuff. So just think about that for a second, prayerfully. That what's the scene look like? We're on a seashore again. We've just fed people. Jesus has just fed people. The disciples have helped feed people. And then Jesus says, get in the boat. Get in the boat. Be sent away. They're sent away. Then the crowd is sent away by Jesus. And then immediately, there seems like this immediacy again. Immediately, Jesus went up to the mountain to pray.
Sounds like it went from a time where there was a lot going on. There was a lot of action, probably a lot of excitement. And then after that, Jesus kind of needed a little bit of alone time. And maybe we feel like that sometimes when we've been busy, or just really being with a lot of people, doing a lot of things. And then it's like that pause that your friend Roy taught you about.
Yeah.
It's doing, but then making sure you have time to pause and to be quiet.
Great. Let's read on. I'll keep reading.
Okay.
When evening came, the boat was out on the sea, and Jesus, was alone on the land.
Okay.
When he saw that they were straining at the oars against an adverse wind, he came towards them early in the morning, walking on the sea. He came towards them, walking on the sea. So
That would make me pause.
yes, excellent. And
Working real hard to row. I don't know if any of you guys have ever been in like a rowboat or a canoe. And if the water gets really choppy, man, you're working really hard to try to keep going, because if you
and the
don't,
wind was coming at them.
if it's windy and stuff, man, that's going right over. and you're going to be...
Well, it's coming right at them, so
Right.
they're having to struggle against it, like struggling against the current. And Jesus saw that and wanted to do something. That's what struck me, while I'm thinking about it. I'm thinking about it, I'm prayerfully open to what God has to say. Jesus sees the disciples struggling, and he wants to help. I forgot we have to speak up. One of my friends told us that they couldn't hear us very well, so I want to be sure to speak up while we're talking. So Jesus sees that they're having trouble, they're struggling, and he wants to help them. So he just walks out on the water towards the boat.
So what it made me think of, if I was doing something really hard, I was really struggling, and I saw Jesus walking to me on the water, I probably would stop trying to row. I would be so shocked. I would stop. And maybe when we're working on something that's real hard, even like homework, and you're stuck on a problem, sometimes you need to stop for a minute.
Yeah.
And then get back to it.
And rethink it, yeah. Let's read on a little bit. Jesus intended to pass them by, but when they saw him walking on the sea, they thought it was a ghost and cried out, for they all saw him and were terrified. I just want to stop there again.
Yeah.
Stop again. So, like you said, they're rowing, working really hard. They all saw him. It's not just one person saw him. They all saw him. And did they think, oh, there's Jesus walking on the water? No. They thought it's a ghost. And so for them, and sometimes even for us, I think we get so separated from a spiritual life, a life that involves other things that are around us, other spirits, and just the world around us. We get so focused on our scientific thinking that we don't open our minds and ourselves up to what is going on. There's just a lot going on in the world, and so they were more permeable. Their lives were more permeable to this idea that there's a ghost. Okay, there's a ghost, but I'm scared. There's a ghost. I'm terrified.
And not real reassuring there.
And it's weird for us to read that, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, because we think, oh, Jesus, cool. You're gonna help me out, whereas they're just like,
it's a ghost. Scary.
Yeah.
Scary.
Don't even know what to say.
Terrified.
Speechless.
Yeah. Okay, so here we go. I'm going to continue on. But immediately, that word immediately, again, but immediately he spoke to them and said, take heart, it is I, do not be afraid. But immediately he spoke to them and said, take heart, it is I, do not be afraid. And so, again, we're opening ourselves up, we're thinking a little bit, using our head, and we're just prayerfully reading this. And I don't know, that do not be afraid reminds me of the angels that we read about 2 weeks ago.
Right.
The angel in the tomb. It's always the first thing an angel says when people see an angel. They must be scary. I haven't seen one in real life, but I do not picture the little cherub with the little wings like Cupid or anything like that. It must be a little scary to see an angel because they always say, do not be afraid. But now they're saying that Jesus is saying
the same thing.
Saying the same thing. Do not be afraid.
Right. And immediately. So what he's doing immediately isn't helping them row, but what he's doing immediately is saying, hey, it's going to be okay. He reassures them. And sometimes even if we still have to go back and do the hard thing, we still got to get the math done. Somebody's saying, hold on. It's going to be okay. It at least gives us the reassurance to keep going.
Right. That's great. I love reading this slowly, reading it together with somebody else. It's very helpful, and I hope that you guys are getting something out of this too, and reading along with us in the book of Mark, around verse 47 here. I'm going back in. Jesus just said, do not be afraid.
Mm-hmm.
Then he got into the boat with them, and the wind ceased, and they were utterly astounded. So this is great.
Mm-hmm.
I love how all these things are tying together as we get more and more into this Gospel of Mark. Mm-hmm. The immediacy keeps happening, and now we're immediately mm-hmm. drawn back to another story of the wind on the sea. See, Jesus had already done the miracle of calming the sea. And we've gotten that repeated again. So now Jesus gets into the boat, and immediately the adverse wind stops blowing, and everything gets calm. So immediately. So, and don't we wish that it would all happen immediately? Right. Don't we wish we could hit the fast forward button? Mm-hmm. Maybe that's a way to hit the fast forward button. This is all, let's just think about it. Let's just.
You know what I'm missing right now? Is I'm guessing that as you guys are reading this and hearing this, there are different things in this passage that you're noticing and different things that you're thinking about it.
Yeah.
So I love that I get to do this with Rob because he and I sometimes read this a little differently, and it's neat to hear his ideas and I have my ideas. I miss hearing from you guys because I bet there are different things you're noticing that I haven't even noticed. So I hope you're at least doing this with somebody else.
That's a cool idea with your mom or your dad or just your family or your siblings. If you do it together, even if you want to say, "Oh, I don't think so," but at least hear each other and stuff like that. The other thing that's cool is the emotions. There's emotions in here. There's so many emotions in here. So the idea of saying goodbye. Mm-hmm. Jesus had to say goodbye, so that evokes certain emotions, right? Mm-hmm. And then the idea of the struggle, so that brings certain emotions. So a goodbye brings certain emotions to us, certain feelings, right? We're talking about our feelings and emotions. A struggle, and that brings certain emotions to us too, as we're rowing, doing something really hard. Then the fear, right?
Terrified. We're beyond fear. We're terrified.
Terrified. So that's another emotion that was in here. And then what's this one? Utterly astounded. Utterly astounded. Like, wow.
Yeah.
So there's
blown away.
Different. Yeah, blown away.
Blown away.
The wind ceased. The wind ceased, but now they're blown away. Oh, then here they're utterly astounded. For they did not understand about the loaves, but their hearts were hardened. So the loaves refers back to the story that one of the stories feeding we skipped over, which was the feeding of the 5,000. Right. And I think this is all. It's just so cool the way everything's tying together for me, and hopefully for all of us that have been doing this book study of the Book of Mark. How things are just sort of weaving their way together. So we skipped over a couple of stories. We're going to go back and get them again. Let's look at these things about how to spiritually read or prayerfully read. Mm-hmm. So we took our time and we did a lot of thought stuff, and we were able to do it together. So we were sort of passing things back and forth. Mm-hmm. But we didn't really sit with it for a long time. Now would be a good time to just sort of sit with it and just sort of, oh, okay. So they were feeling those things. When do I feel those things? When do I experience those things? What's it like for me to have those experiences or those feelings? What does it mean when that happens? What is then what is God trying to tell me? So we did a little bit of that while we were doing this, so that was good too.
And if you want to do more of it, you can always pause this video.
Yeah.
And maybe have a conversation with your brother or sister or a parent or somebody else who's there. Or
call me
just
up.
Be right.
Call us up.
Or take some time to be quiet and think about it some more.
Send us an email.
Let
We'd
us
love
know.
to hear from you. We look forward to hearing from folks. It was nice to check in last week with some people on the computer, and we're going to try and do the same thing in a little bit. Thanks so much for all you do. We miss you very much.
Yes.
We'll see you later. Bye-bye.
Bye.